Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with a simple idea. True beauty is not something we chase. It's something we uncover. We live in a world obsessed with surface filters, likes, symmetry, trends. But when I talk about a gorgeous woman, I'm not talking about a magazine cover. I'm talking about something that stirs the soul, a beauty that starts from within and radiates so powerfully. The world can't help but notice. Today, I want to share with you 9 undeniable signs that you are not just beautiful, but blessed. Deeply, divinely, and purposefully. True beauty isn't something loud. It doesn't need to announce itself. It shows up quietly, in how a woman enters a room, how she carries herself, and most importantly, how she makes others feel. A truly gorgeous woman, one blessed by God, doesn't chase attention. She carries peace. Her presence doesn't create pressure, it brings calm. People naturally gravitate toward her, not because she demands the spotlight, but because she radiates something deeper. Her confidence isn't built on compliments or comparison. It's rooted in identity. She knows who she is, and more importantly, who she is. She doesn't compete because she understands her worth is not up for debate. This quiet strength allows her to celebrate others without feeling small. She knows there's room for everyone to shine, and then there's her voice. A gorgeous woman knows her words carry weight. She uses them to uplift, encourage, and breathe life into the people around her. She doesn't participate in gossip or tear others down to feel taller. Instead, she brings truth and grace into conversations. Her words leave others better than she found them. When hurt, she doesn't stay bitter. Forgiveness isn't just something she gives, it's something she lives. She understands that letting go isn't for them, it's for her own peace. That kind of grace isn't common, it's divine. It takes strength to release, but it also creates room for joy and growth. She knows when to speak and when silence speaks louder. Her stillness isn't absence, it's power. She listens deeply, chooses her words wisely, and acts with intention. Her choices are guided by a sense of purpose that's bigger than herself. She walks with clarity, knowing each step is part of a bigger picture. And at the heart of it all is love. Real, unconditional, no strings attached love. She doesn't just love when it's easy or convenient. She loves like God does, patiently, sacrificially, and sincerely. Whether it's toward a stranger or someone who's failed her, she offers the kind of love that changes people. That's what makes her truly beautiful. Not just her appearance, but her spirit. Her beauty doesn't fade because it isn't skin. Deep it's soul. Deep. And when people meet her, they don't just see her beauty. They feel it. And they walk away knowing they've been in the presence of something rare. Something holy. Confidence is often misunderstood. We tend to associate it with boldness, with being outspoken, with walking into a room like you own it. But true confidence, the kind that makes a woman undeniably gorgeous and clearly blessed by God, is quieter than that. It doesn't shout, it doesn't seek approval, it simply is. A woman who is truly confident doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. She's not performing for the world. She's not dressing up her insecurities or hiding behind achievements. Her confidence comes from a deep understanding of who she is at her core. She knows she was created with intention. She knows her value was determined long before anyone had an opinion about her. And because of that, she doesn't live for likes, compliments, or external validation. She is rooted, anchored, and unshakable. That kind of confidence is magnetic. It draws people in, not because she's flashy or trying to be noticed, but because she's real, she's grounded. There's no desperation in her energy, only peace. She celebrates others freely, because she doesn't feel threatened by their success. She doesn't measure her worth by someone else's journey. Comparison doesn't control her, because she's already secure in her own lane. You can see it in how she walks, how she speaks, how she handles criticism or rejection. She doesn't crumble when others misunderstand her, and she doesn't chase after approval to feel seen. She's already seen, by God, by herself, and by the people who truly matter. That internal assurance frees her to live with authenticity. She can show up as herself, flaws and all, without apology. And here's the most powerful thing. Her confidence gives other women permission to believe in themselves too. It's contagious, it doesn't intimidate, it inspires. When she walks into a room, others don't feel smaller, they feel lifted, because her presence isn't about ego. It's about truth, and truth empowers. Confidence like that doesn't come from the world. It comes from within. It's a divine gift that's been nurtured through faith, experience, and trust in God's plan. That's what makes her so incredibly gorgeous. Not her clothes, not her face, but the undeniable light she carries from knowing exactly who she is and who she was created to be. Words have power, more than we often realize. The way a woman speaks reveals not just her thoughts, but the condition of her heart. A truly gorgeous woman, blessed by God, understands this deeply. She doesn't use her voice to tear down, criticize, or draw attention to herself. Instead, she speaks life. Her words are healing, honest, and intentional. They carry weight, not because they are loud, but because they are true. She doesn't waste time in gossip or negativity. She knows that tearing someone else down will never lift her up. Her beauty isn't built on someone else's brokenness. Instead, she's intentional about lifting others with her language. She compliments sincerely. She encourages genuinely. She listens more than she speaks, and when she does speak, people listen, because they know she speaks with purpose. You won't find her spreading drama or jumping into every argument. She's not interested in proving herself right at the expense of peace. Instead, she chooses her words carefully, knowing that what she says has the power to plant either seeds of hope or seeds of hurt. And she always chooses hope. She speaks to people's potential, not just their problems. She reminds others of who they can be, not just who they've been. Her voice is her gift, and she uses it wisely. Whether she's talking to a friend, a stranger, or even someone who has wronged her, her tone remains respectful, full of grace. That doesn't mean she's weak or afraid to speak truth. Quite the opposite. She knows how to speak difficult truths in a way that still honors others. Her honesty doesn't cut, it connects. And the beautiful part, her words linger. Long after the conversation is over, something she said will echo in someone's mind. A sentence that brought peace, a compliment that gave courage, a moment of kindness that sparked change. That's what happens when a woman speaks with love and wisdom. Her voice becomes a blessing. She doesn't just talk. She builds, she comforts, she leads, and in doing so, she sets herself apart in a world full of noise. That's the kind of beauty you can't fake and you can't forget. It doesn't come from appearance. It flows from character. And it's one of the clearest signs of a woman who is not only gorgeous, but God-inspired. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful acts a person can offer, and one of the clearest signs of true inner beauty. A woman who is truly gorgeous and blessed by God understands the power of letting go. She doesn't hold on to bitterness like a badge of strength. Instead, she chooses healing over hatred, freedom over resentment. That choice, though not always easy, reflects a rare kind of grace, a divine strength that doesn't come from the world, but from within. When someone wrongs her, she feels the pain like anyone would. She's not numb and she's not naive. But instead of building walls around her heart, she opens space for growth. She understands that forgiveness isn't about excusing the behavior. It's not about pretending it didn't happen. Forgiveness is about releasing herself from the weight of what was done. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. This kind of woman knows that holding a grudge only poisons her own soul, and she refuses to let someone else's actions define her emotions. So she forgives, not because they always deserve it, but because she deserves peace. And peace is more valuable than revenge. In fact, forgiveness is one of the most beautiful and radical acts of love. It says, I will not let this pain harden me. I will not let this wound become my identity. She also knows that forgiveness doesn't mean immediate reconciliation. She can forgive and still set boundaries. She can let go of anger and still walk away from toxic patterns. Because forgiveness is about freeing herself, not reopening the door to hurt. And that discernment is part of her beauty. What makes her truly stand out is the softness she still carries after being hurt. In a world that tells women to be cold or never trust again, she chooses the higher path. She keeps her heart tender. She keeps love alive inside her, and that kind of spirit, resilient yet gentle, is breathtaking. People around her feel the difference. They feel safe with her. They feel seen, because she doesn't let bitterness cloud her kindness. She radiates the kind of grace that only comes from someone who has been hurt, healed, and still chooses love. That's not ordinary. That's divine. And it's one of the deepest, most undeniable signs of a truly gorgeous woman. There is something powerful about a woman who knows when to speak and when to remain silent. In a world that often equates loudness with strength and constant expression with influence, her stillness stands out. She doesn't speak just to be heard. She speaks when her words matter. And when she is silent, it's not because she has nothing to say. It's because she understands the wisdom in saying nothing at all. Her silence is not weakness. It's presence in its most potent form, its control, its discernment. She knows that every moment doesn't require a reaction, every conflict doesn't need a comment, and every opinion doesn't demand a response. She's not afraid of quiet moments because she knows that peace often lives in stillness. That's a rare kind of strength, and it makes her quietly captivating. She listens more than she talks, not just to reply, but to truly understand. In conversations, she gives space. She creates a calm environment where others feel heard and safe. And when she finally speaks, her words carry weight, because they're thoughtful, intentional, and rooted in truth. People listen when she talks, not because she demands attention, but because she's earned it through her presence. This kind of self-control doesn't come easily. It comes from maturity, from inner clarity, from a deep sense of purpose. She doesn't need to defend herself constantly or prove her worth with loud declarations. She's already grounded in who she is. Her silence is a sign of emotional intelligence and spiritual depth. It shows she's connected to something bigger than herself, her mission, her peace, her God. Even in conflict, she doesn't raise her voice to win an argument. She doesn't speak from ego or insecurity. She pauses, reflects, responds with grace. And sometimes, she chooses to let her silence speak for her, because she understands that silence can be louder than shouting, and far more impactful. This quiet strength is deeply beautiful. It's the kind of beauty that doesn't fade, because it's not based on trends or noise. It's based on depth, on discernment, on discipline, and when people are around her, they sense it. They feel calmer, safer, more present. That's the kind of woman whose silence speaks volumes, and one of the clearest signs that she's not only wise, but divinely blessed. A woman who honors her body is a woman who understands her value. She sees herself not through the lens of culture, trends, or external validation, but through the lens of divine design. She doesn't treat her body as an ornament for others to admire. She treats it as a sacred vessel. A temple, a gift from God, and that mindset transforms everything, from the way she dresses to the way she walks through the world. She doesn't need to reveal everything to feel confident. She doesn't chase the approval that comes with showing more skin or fitting into a narrow definition of what society calls attractive. Her beauty isn't for consumption, it's a reflection of her dignity. She carries herself with elegance, not because she's trying to be noticed, but because she respects herself. She knows that true attractiveness doesn't come from exposure. It comes from energy, from posture, from presence. Honoring her body goes beyond appearance. It includes how she takes care of herself, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. She feeds her body with nourishment, not punishment. She moves it not to shrink it, but to strengthen it. She rests when needed, understanding that rest is not laziness, it's stewardship, and she listens to what her body tells her, responding with compassion rather than criticism. But even deeper than that, she honors her body by protecting her boundaries. She doesn't give her presence, her affection, or her intimacy lightly, not because she's afraid, but because she's intentional. She knows her worth, and she doesn't hand it over casually. She doesn't need attention to feel alive. She's already full from within. Her modesty is not shame, it's power. It's the quiet declaration that she doesn't need to follow the world's script to feel beautiful. She has her own definition of beauty, rooted in wisdom and purpose. And when she walks into a room, people know it's not just what she's wearing, but how she carries herself, with grace, with purpose. with a radiant confidence that comes from knowing she is more than just a body. She is a soul wrapped in strength and softness. This kind of self-respect is rare. It's timeless, and it is one of the most undeniable signs of a woman who is not just gorgeous on the outside, but deeply, unmistakably blessed by God on the inside.